Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. World's Life is Strange podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I am here, and I'm about to fight Mike Tyson.
You are, yes. We're all going to fight Mike Tyson next. That's what it feels like. It feels like
and
when
his
Mike
bare butt.
And God, how does that count? I thought that was like a meme when I opened up Twitter. I was like, what's happening? And I was like,
no, I didn't see it either. And everybody's like, oh, we saw his bare. I'm like, what? Because my stream didn't work. And so I see on Twitter, just like, yeah, we all saw it. I'm like, what's going on in Netflix right now? So that's great. This is the nation we live in now.
What a mess. But I'm going to say as well, like Mike Tyson throwing a punch there was like Max throwing a punch at Alderman. That's how that's what it reminded me of that. By the way, out of all the comments on the last episode, and we'll get on to the last episode in a second, but out of all the comments, my favorite one was saying someone said, I can't believe, wait, what? It's like Max punches Alderman. I went and looked it up and lol. it's so true as well. It's just like the wildest thing you'll ever see. But we're back for StrangeCast. We're back to our normal schedule as always. Like Lost Records Journal recently came out, so thank you so much for that. That's the first episode that's got over 1,000 views on YouTube. So again, really appreciate it. And we're back on schedule. StrangeCast is back now in the post Double Exposure season, but obviously we've got a lot to talk about, including a lot of topics as well. So yeah, we'll keep you entertained going forward, no doubt. Before we start, as always, if you are new here, please do consider dropping subscribe to the channel, turn notifications like the video, and share with your friends. Helps support the channel, helps keep up to date with the channel as well. All the content, Lost Records, Life is Strange, everything, the podcast, all the shows we do. So do subscribe as well. We've got about 1,400 plus subscribers, so slowly creeping to 1,500 if you can help us. It's greatly appreciated. And also, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. Available on Spotify with a video version. We're available on Apple Podcasts. We're available on everything. So go and check us out there. Rate us, follow us. It helps you get instant access as soon as the episodes become available. We've got 262 followers on Spotify now, 32 ratings. So thank you so much for that. And also as well, we are, almost close to 10,000 plus plays across all podcast services, which is crazy. So thank you so much for that. Spotify's gone through a bit of a revamp, by the way, as well. It was telling me in the back end.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can apparently attach video thumbnails now. So it's like as YouTube does for the podcast. So it seems to pull them up differently. You can put because you usually put like a cover art for the episode, but you can also attach a video thumbnail now. So it seems like that algorithm's evolving into like a YouTube-esque thing. So
good for Spotify.
Good for us.
I hope this. I guess I not for me personally. I hope they pay me a little bit more, but good for Spotify on that one.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think before we start as well, thank you so much for the last episode. Obviously, guys, like it was unbelievable. I've never seen that many comments on a StrangeCast episode. And also as well, thank you so much for that. I think we got the consensus right with that. The ratings very much do favor us compared to the other way around. But it's greatly appreciated. And the last two episodes have been phenomenal in terms of like the reception we received. So again, thank you for joining us. And if you are new here as well, welcome to the show as well. It'll keep you up to date. We always get a bi-weekly slot going for this show. And Adam as well. As we said in the last episode with the review, spoilers now lifted. Like we are not going. Like if you are watching any StrangeCast episode and you get spoiled, I'm sorry, but it's very hard for us to do our job if we don't talk about spoilers. So
yeah, call us Mike Tyson, man, because we're not. Wait, don't call us Mike Tyson because we're not pulling punches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you get annoyed as well, I'm going to pull through the screen like Max and punch you like Alderman into another dimension. So that's what's going to happen to you. I can't get out. We'll get into a lot of the topics. I know a lot of people said like, are you going to talk about the Max and Safi relationship? Are you going to do interviews? Things will work hopefully in whatever flows out. And speaking of interviews, there is an Olivia Alabassi interview which will come hopefully in the week that this comes out as well. Obviously she played Safi as well, and it's really fun to chat with her. So hopefully you guys enjoy that when it's released. But it'll come in due course, whatever comes as well. And if it doesn't, unfortunately, try and read the room why it might not happen. But speaking of which, Adam, should we kick things off as well?
Yeah, I'm so excited right now.
So, Adam, this is a little bit less Life is Strange, but it's also about one of our favorite things in the world, which is Square Enix.
I love Square Enix. I hope they send me a jacket someday.
Depends if the character ever has a jacket at this point. you might get a beanie, to be honest. The beanie is the new thing for them.
A little Square Enix beanie? Well, that'd be nice.
So this is not necessarily about Life is Strange, but it will kind of like lead into Life is Strange in terms of next year when the first quarter earnings come out, or the fourth quarter, come out in 2025. Because obviously Life is Strange will be part of that. But as you can see here, Game Rant reported 5 days ago when we're recording, which is on the 16th of November, they put Square Enix's stock plummets after disappointing Q3 2024 earnings. I would say probably a mid, but you could say after as well, actually. But the story is there as well. It says the Square Enix stock plummeted over 10 points on Monday, 11th of November. The company hence lost the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars in market capitalization, with this turn in events likely being prompted by Square Enix reporting some mixed financial results. Square Enix's operating profit has been on a steady decline since its 2022 peak. The Japanese gaming giant's latest financial report suggested that this trend might finally have reversed, with the company reporting that it generated $136 million in profit over the 6-month period ending September 2024. A 22 year-on-year increase. Square Enix's stock still declined by over 10% by the close of trading at the Tokyo Stock Exchange on Monday, the 11th of November. Some Japan-based industry watchers speculate this development can be attributed to a number of troubling figures contained in the company's latest financials. Although the operating profit for the reported 6 months period has increased year on year, it has recently been on a heavy decline, falling 27% in Q3 2024. Combined with the fact that Square Enix's premium game sales are down year on year, this decline might be what prompted investors to sell off, caused by the company's stock to plummet. My head is spinning there a little bit. Never mind.
Yeah.
So Square Enix lost $350 million in market cap since the start of November 2024. At the beginning of November 2024, Square Enix was valued at $4.68 billion based on its stock price and the number of outstanding shares. This weekend, after its latest consolidated financial report was published, its valuation was approximately 350 million euros lower. Dollars euro.
Oh no! Now they're only worth $4 billion.
Just 4.3 billion. No.
Help the children.
This is important, obviously. While stock prices aren't always perfectly reflective of any given company's current health, they do indicate investor sentiment, and investors currently don't seem to be particularly optimistic about Square Enix's near-term prospects. The Japanese company's latest earnings did not include a sales update on Final Fantasy XVI, which the company itself previously said underperformed. The JRPG also had a somewhat quiet PC launch after finally reaching Steam back in September 2024. Square Enix last said that Final Fantasy XVI sold 3 million copies on PS5, but that was during the launch week in June 2023. According to an average third-party estimate by Game Analytic, VG Insight, and Play Tracker, the game roughly sold 289,000 units on Steam as of November 11. Moving forward, Square Enix intends to try and reinvigorate its declining game sales by moving away from exclusive deals in favor of multi-platform publishing. The company said as much back in May 2024, when it announced plans to, quote-unquote, aggressively pursue, end quote, such a strategy. Before that happens, developer-publisher will release at least one more time PS5 exclusive, the final entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. So I brought that in because we're not necessarily a Final Fantasy podcast, but we are like a Life is Strange podcast, and obviously Square Enix is at the helm of it. And Square Enix has been going through a very rough period as well, Adam, as well, as we've seen. And yeah, the sentiments on Life is Strange boosting them numbers ain't going to be doing much, because Life is Strange is not tipping the needle back in their favor, and I don't think that game has sold anywhere near as well. I know that.
Have we seen the numbers yet?
No. So there has been like different reported numbers, Adam. So it's like it had very weak Steam numbers that I saw from people. And then I saw in the first week of the UK charts, it was ranked number 9, I think it was. Yeah, it debuted at number 9 in the UK charts, physical. And True Colors debuted at about 6, I think. So True Colors was ahead of it. And then also in...
I just want to repeat as of right now, as we're recording this, where you mentioned the Steam numbers, right? For Double Exposure, players right now, 474. 24-hour peak was 808. But and the all-time peak was 8,500 on Steam alone.
There are caveats with that as well, because like I know people immediately compared it to the first Life is Strange, but the first Life is Strange was a cheaper game, remember, as well. It was also free at different points as well, the first episode. And it also had like obviously it was the series game which like catapulted the momentum. So there's like little caveats you have to give with it. I don't think it's doing much better than True Colors Double Exposure, if it's doing better at all. But the Steam numbers aren't that good. In Australia, it debuted at number 9 in the charts. In New Zealand, it didn't debut at all. So it's made it to number 9 in the UK, number 9 in Australia for physical.
Interesting. It
And then
actually did
also,
higher. It did higher numbers on than True Colors on Steam,
oh really?
but just by barely. 8,500 for all-time peak in the double exposure, but True Colors did 8,000. So just a bit better than True Colors on Steam.
I do wonder if True Colors like out survives it if it has like a longer run, where it's like
Maybe.
it stays steadier, because like Double Exposure has gone quiet since the release of it. It's like, you know, I think people have played it, done what they need to do, and they've seen the reaction of it. And True Colors wasn't seen as divisive either. It felt like the kind of game where people like, you know, caught onto it as it would. But generally speaking, there was one thing that happened, Adam, as well. There was an October report from PlayStation on the blog that said that it released during the top downloaded games for October, and Double Exposure wasn't in there. But obviously, Double Exposure came out right at the end of the month, 28th of October. So it's like right at the end of the month. And I think when True Colors made the top 10 for when it came out. So if it's not in the top 10 this month in November, there's going to be some big questions to be asked about that, which would be very reflective of the game. But like in the conversation on the stock and stuff, and like with Square Enix, stock price does not reflect the company's position. Yeah. Obviously, you can see, for example, Don't Nod has its own situation going on at the minute, as we've very much talked about for the last couple of weeks and months. But Square Enix is not in a good position. I really think that they have like they give me.
Let me give you a hot take here.
Please.
I don't think it's just Square Enix. I think we're facing just an entire, like, we are a Square Enix focused podcast, right? For Square,
Life is strange.
Technically speaking, we follow Square Enix a lot in this podcast, right? By technical terms, I wouldn't say we're a Square Enix podcast, but we follow it, right? Yeah. Just like an Elder Scrolls podcast, they would have to call themselves a Bethesda podcast, right? What I'm trying to say here is that we're focused on Square like falling down, but we need to look at the entirety of the game industry. The entirety is not looking hot right now. Ubisoft's not looking hot right now. Don't Nod, as we discussed before, not looking hot right now. I want to say I heard little rumblings about Nintendo having a little fraction of a trouble here. The only one that's not really saying they're having problems is 2K. 2K and Rockstar, I should say.
Yeah, because they're part of they're part of Take-Two, aren't they? So it's like Take-Two is that big umbrella of like games, and it's like GTA.
Yeah,
so it's like
Take-Two, Rockstar, 2K, they're doing just fine, dude. They are doing fine. But even Epic is having layoffs, right? What I'm trying to say here is that like we're kind of seeing like we're seeing 2020 really affect the game industry right now, and you know we're focused on Square, but this isn't just a Square problem. This is an industry problem right now we're facing.
I agree because even when even if you look at Take-Two's earnings, for example, they're not the best, but it's what you said though. It's like it's the umbrella of games they've got. So for example, Take-Two's earnings aren't affecting its stock in a massive way because GTA is literally on the horizon, and that is just the bookings that they've got for next year are
and the money they're making for GTA Online, dude. It's just insanity.
That's the gold mine. They've struck the hole, and the oil is like spewing out. It's like that's one of those rare instances. Same with like even Activision. Activision would be fine without like Xbox, for example, because it's got a behemoth like game franchise with it, but Square Enix is right. You're right with it. It's just not Square Enix. It's all these studios, but Square Enix feels so out of place with things because, like, I'm not just a Life is Strange fan. I do play Final Fantasy, for example. I didn't enjoy Final Fantasy 16 at all. I gave up on it like halfway into it. I was like, no, I'm not having this. Not happy with it. Gave up. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I really struggled to get into it. I know someone who also played it and they really loved it, but even they who played it don't talk about it as much anymore. And it's like, it was kind of like just a bit of a forgettable entry, if anything. And it's the same with I enjoyed Rebirth, for example, Final Fantasy VII's Part 2 game. But that was like, that didn't sell well. They already estimated that. And it's because like Square Enix is losing ground in Japan. It's losing ground in Japan, and then on top of that, it's like it sold off all its tons of its Western IPs off to the Embracer Group. It's kept Life is Strange, but Life is Strange isn't really a money maker in certain respects, and it's like no wonder they're struggling a bit.
That's the one thing I'm like, why did you hang on to that IP? Like Square hanging on to Final Fantasy makes sense. Hanging on to Dragon Quest makes sense. Hanging on to Life is Strange is such a niche like thing to hang on to. Where I think they got rid of they didn't they get rid of the Hitman? Or did they ever have that?
No, it was EDS that had that.
Yeah. They got rid of one IP.
Sleeping Dogs.
Just like, yeah, they got
what a shame. I love that game.
Yeah. But yeah, hanging out to Life is Strange is kind of like that was a funny move on Square Enix's part. But
Tomb Raider
here we are.
got sold off as well because that was part of Crystal
That's
Dynamics.
the one where I was just like, why did you sell off Tomb Raider, dude? Why did you sell off Tomb Raider? That's such a heavy IP, but
yeah,
whatever. They do them.
My theory with the situation with Life is Strange keeping it is because it's relatively cheap to make the games. Because during that IGN article, it said it's going to be sold off to the lowest bidder. So it's like, for example, think about the game as well, Double Exposure. They got like a lot of the assets made from, for example, True Colors. They don't pay union actors, so like really none of the new actors who come in are union, for example. So you can pay them at a different rate. Deck Nine's got its own inbuilt motion capture studio, so you don't have to invest into R&D, for example. It feels like quite, within a scope. So it's like you can do that, and then it also already has like an established fan base which is still buying the game, and it feels like it could just recoup the money, if not break above it and make a bit of a return. So that's what my kind of belief is with them not selling it. I don't think it's profitable in the way people think it is, like compared to the first game. That was as you said before, you don't buy high and sell low. It's like you buy low and you sell high. That was Life is Strange 1, for example, and they've never been able to replicate that since then. But generally speaking, it's not just a Square Enix problem. It's not just about dogging on Square Enix here. I agree with you. It's a general industry problem. But with Square, though, Square gives me big 2017 Capcom vibes, pre-Resident Evil 7, where it was like, oh no, Resident Evil 6 isn't selling. Oh my God. And it's like Devil May Cry, DMC Devil May Cry is not selling. It's like, I wonder why. It's like,
exactly.
You can see it. And then look at Capcom, though. Since then, it's been like Remake 4, Remake 2, and it's been like reception great. And it's like it finally feels like they've steadied their ship a little bit. But with Square, it's like we'll fling $100 million reportedly at Forspoken. We'll fling this here. We'll make Double Exposure, and it's going to be great. And it's like, I can see why you're in a problem here, just from an outsider's perspective, at least. So yeah, that's that. Anything else to add?
Yes. Square, if you're having some troubles, what helps is sending free stuff. I don't know, it just helps. Like, it just helps out. Send me free stuff now.
Why do you want us free stuff for?
Why wouldn't you want free stuff? You don't want a free mug? You don't like free stuff, Adnan?
Well, you can send me the mug that Moses is drinking from, and Max and
Safi, exactly.
Potentially.
Like, give me some free stuff. I like free stuff.
Adam, should we go into our next piece of news?
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite pieces of news, of course, and it is patch notes.
Patch notes!
Woohoo! You know what, Adam, as well? Funnily enough, 2024 bingo card, remaster collection patches, none.
Yeah.
We're actually we're making progress here. We're now just onto the Double Exposure patch notes as well.
Goodness, dude.
This is... I'm gonna pull the tweet up as well because the tweet makes it look even daunting.
Yeah, I'm looking at the tweet right now. I'm like, God dang, dude. Like we said on the last one, like I didn't really face a lot of bugs here, but looking at these patch notes, I'm like, did I face a lot of bugs?
So just to give you a quick update here as well on the story, they released a patch, Deck 9 and Square Enix on the 15th of November. It's reported here and there, and I'm going to pull this down quickly because I just want to pull the tweet up because as Adam said as well, I was like clicking on it, and it's like obviously on my phone it's a bit different. And then when I opened it up on, when I clicked on it, I was like, they have Twitter Blue. I was like, my freaking word. And yeah, so as you can see on the screen, as we're showing you, these are the patch notes. This is a AAA video game. I'm not even dunking on Square Enix and Deck Nine. I'm dunking on the entire industry here. Back in my day, you'd buy your game and it would
Yeah.
work perfectly fine. And these aren't even just like minor issues as well. These are some like bigger issues, if anything. Like you can kind of see in that. And I'm gonna pull one. I'm gonna pull one up here as
Sorry.
well, Adam, because I think it
Can
relates
I
to what you said. Go on.
can I shout out a reply real quick?
Go on.
At Keno Astral
Oh God.
replied, when y'all gonna patch the bug where Max is forced to tell Safi she and Chloe broke up? I thought this was a good game about choices. No.
I knew one day Kenna would get on this podcast. I knew it would
Yeah.
happen. This is coming from
When
you
y'all
as well.
gonna patch the bug where Max is forced to tell Safi she
Do you follow Kenna?
I don't even know. Do
You
I?
should. She's very funny.
Okay, yeah.
It's like-
Keno, I'm following you now. I'm barely on this site anyway, so
It is very funny watching her respond to things. Like it's just like that. But that one person that dunks, and I say dunks rightfully as well. I think they're right on that.
yeah.
Adam, here's one thing that I want to pull out in this patch notes for you as well. Where is it? Where is this issue? Have you not pulled it up?
There's a lot of issues here.
Where's the one on my Okada in here?
Oh,
There it is.
Yep.
That reminds me
Yeah.
of the. So I've highlighted it. Yeah, I've highlighted it. That reminds me of the review segment where you said that the objectives didn't feel clear. Do you remember when you said it's like?
Yeah,
you
it was
felt like,
around chapter 3 that like I started to say like, what am I supposed to do right now? Like, there's a lot of times in this game where I'm just like, it's not really clear what I need to do or where to go. And I would consider myself a pretty avid gamer.
Yeah.
So, and especially like RPGs and story-based games. Like I follow objectives. Right now I'm playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's okay. It's fine. It's Call of Duty. But I felt lost in this game at like a couple times. But so yeah, it's funny that they said like we cleared up objectives in chapter 3. I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I think you're fair with that though, because I remember playing that game and it was like Vin, and I'm being dead serious. It's like Vin Lang's in the administrative building. Go and speak to Dead World Lucas and go and speak to Living World, whatever variation. No, don't correct me on this, but it's like go and speak to Living World Gwen and Dead World Lucas and then speak to Vin. And it was like it never gave you like a right order with it. And obviously, I'm one of those people where it's like I hate getting locked out of a section because I've like gone through the objective. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to follow things here. And it's like, it just doesn't feel like, just show me the Lucas marker first. Be like, go and speak to Lucas, then go and speak to Gwen, then go and speak to Vin. And just like, let's keep it clear with that. So when you mentioned it in the review, I thought it was a very good point that you mentioned. Because I was like, he's right about that. Even with the because My Okada becomes a bigger, difficult storyline in the game where it's like, it just becomes a storyline within the game and it causes like this entire tangent. And then it's like objective markers start flying left, right, and center. So
if I'm correct in thinking where to find information, it's the golden typewriter, I believe. The mission. It's probably that, because I remember
Lucas
like thinking
office.
like, what else am I supposed to find here? Because I looked at all the files, I looked at all everything, and it's just like still find information about Maya. I'm like, what other information? What are you talking about?
So if I remember correctly, that's in Lucas's office. And you have to get the key. And I think the key is on his photo frame with his son and his daughter.
Yes.
And then you go to the golden typewriter, put it in, and it opens up, and then it pulls out the documents, which he's obviously plagiarized. I can still remember the story. Like, that's a big brownie point for me.
I couldn't find the lock. It was more of just like, I thought I found all the information I needed. You know, it's just like, hey, you gotta keep finding more information. I'm like, we got it all. We got it all.
Yeah.
Like, it's here. I got our file. It's fine. But nope.
It's
so that's fun. I do plan on resolve the issue upon completion of chapter 2, where the thumbnail for Samson and the Helton houseplant, whatever. I do plan on going back to this game at some point. But yeah, there's a lot of things in here. I'm just like, oh,
My plan is to make a Twitter thread at some point, Adam, with all the plot holes and the key missing things. When I'm playing through it, I'm going to make it with a combination, and people can like retweet it and saying you're wrong or right. Because I'm going to make there's so many issues with this game. When people keep defending it, it's like I don't believe that for a minute. I know other things where it's like there are still things that still don't make sense with this, and other people who didn't even understand it. But in itself, Adam, as well, the top one's really weird in that PSU article. Credits have been updated. Who did you miss?
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah. Credits have been updated. I wonder. There are some things that I won't say anything else.
Imagine if you typo someone's name as well. I'd be so angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh right. Yeah. I don't. Fair enough.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't say anything more.
I get it.
Yeah.
Adam, outstanding issues as well. Missing voice lines in chapter. How is this game even going to out, man? Missing voice lines in chapter 5.
Yeah.
What? Like, but in itself as well, achievements not transferring from early access to full launch. So you've botched the early access because people can't get their achievements.
What a mess, dude. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess.
Because like, look, even updated Russian terms of services with correct date, that's minor. You can patch that. I'm never going to have an issue with that. Patches happen. People do updates. Even like, the best developers do them. But some of these, though, it's like, I'm like, come on, man. Even there as well, Adam, as well, corrected objective updates after talking to Vin in chapter 3. That's the Vin moment I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like Lucas thingy, So it's basically, no wonder people are walking around in circles during that segment. It's a little bit like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a little wild, this one. Again, I do want to go back and play this again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is actually kind of wild.
Are you just like motivating yourself to do it? Because that's what I'm currently doing.
Bro, like, yeah, I'm motivated. Not as much as other games. Like, there's definitely other games where I just like, like there's definitely other games I felt like I needed to motivate myself. This one is just kind of like, man, do I want to go back to this 8-hour mess of a game, dude?
But the problem is that, Adam, you feel that way because it's like, what are you going back for as well? Is there really replay value in this?
Not really. No,
that's the big issue with it. I think that's a systemic issue some people have felt in general about it, and beyond me or you criticizing. It's like there's not really much replay value behind this game. Coming back to it, it's like it is literally just a one-off experience, and after you've played it, it's like you're not going to go back for the major choice or anything. So. Yeah, we'll keep you updated though, guys. It was our favorite pastime hobby with the remaster collection. I'm sure we'll see more notes going into.
we reported on that like 5 times, dude.
Bingo card then. 2025. Will there be patch notes for this game, or do you think they'll get them all solved by the end of the year?
Oh, but with this game?
Yeah.
Oh, in 2025, we'll be reporting on 3 more times at least.
3 more times, you think?
3 more times. 3 more times before June.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 2 patch notes at certain points. Yeah, 2 patch notes. Yeah.
Which, by the way, the remaster collection still not fixed. Not fixed.
The sums of the remaster collection. I have a question for you actually. Before we move on to the next topic, do you think they'll come back and patch this game with a certain addition in terms of like maybe a shift in a certain part of the story before the next game comes out, if it does come out? The way it's done, like say if there's a double exposure, because I'm saying this because Square Enix did it with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They went back and repatched Final Fantasy VII, and I remember them adding something very minor, so it just tied into the story of remake.
Well, you remember that when Oxenfree 2 came out, they patched in the radio signals into Oxenfree.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer your question. No, they're not. They're not going to do that for double exposure.
I'm going to be really snide here as well, because my other argument is that how can you patch the entire story? Because it's just not going to work like that.
Yeah, there's no going to be tying it together, dude. Like,
we'll come on to that.
No.
Leave that. We'll come on, because it's definitely some topics in here, which, guys, I hope you enjoy our podcast, because it's one hell of a journey doing it. Speaking of which, Adam, let's go into our next piece of news, because this kind of bounces off the Lost Records Journal as well. So I'm going to pull this up here, and this is full credit to Neko Jubilee for this. So obviously, we talked about the social media I'm trying to figure out the best way of putting it, the erratic social media behavior from the Lost Records page, and it was doing that little cryptic teaser. But we've actually got a bit of a problem solving here, and this is all down to Neko here as well, who's put this. And they put in a tweet, I showed the pic to a friend of mine, and they mentioned that it looked like the spectrogram. So I saved the vid as an MP3, loaded it up in an app called Audacity. I remember Audacity from my old days, and enabled the
I still
spectrogram
use
option.
Audacity.
It's great, isn't it? It's great. It's like for like editing music and just doing little things. It's pretty good for it.
I'm pretty sure Post Malone still uses Audacity for his vocals.
Keeping it real, isn't it? It's keeping it real.
Yeah.
So put it in Audacity, enable spectrogram option, and it shows this cryptic message that says it is watching us, which is really cool. And by the way, Adam, before I go on here as well, Lucky Fonts might be interesting for the next podcast. And then Neko responded saying, I love that. OMG, I love that podcast. I was listening to it while making a swan drawing. And yeah, the swan drawing is incredible. I'm not going to show it because for copyright reasons, I'm not sure if Neko wants me to show it, but it is very impressive. Go and check out Neko on Twitter. It is an incredible drawing swan.
Well, guess what, Neko? I'm following you. I don't know if that means anything.
Well, it is for someone who doesn't use Twitter as well. I think that's a big...
I don't use Twitter, but guess what? I follow you. Hooray.
You know what? I'll give you a follow there as well, Neko. I'm going to give Lucky Fonts one as well because they're tagging us as well.
No, so. Lucky Fonts hasn't earned it from me.
Oh, wow.
Show me crocodile videos now. I'm looking at crocodile videos on Twitter, by the way.
That was from Neko there, so I'm going to follow them there and give that. And Adam as well. I'm just going to quickly pull up on Reddit because they posted on here as well, as you can see as well for visual people as well who are listening via podcast service. You can check that. As you can see here on the Audacity, it shows it says there it is watching us, which is quite cool if in itself. And quickly tying on to this because we're all leading into the Lost Records momentum and season. I'm trying to pull up that next piece. Where's that other one? There it is. So this is from Lost Records game, Adam. We've seen this before. It's in Swan's bedroom, the Michigan posters. And they put here, Michigan's rich bird life influenced by its diverse ecosystem, a strategic location along with migration routes offers bird watchers a chance to observe a wide array of species throughout the year. Being attentive is essential for spotting them. And can you see it, Adam?
I can see the raven.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
So we have a little
Quo the raven.
Yes, so we have the raven there. So it's kind of building off our last episode, last Lost Records Journal episode, and you can go and check that out as well. The marketing's great. I love the marketing, at least for us as well. Even if it doesn't get to the wider people, I'm digging it. It's just nice to see these little things. And I
appreciate the spectrogram in the audio, so very much appreciate that.
There you go. See, big high endorsement there from someone like yourself there for that.
Yeah,
which is a good thing. But no, I enjoyed it as well. I think personally, because we're leading up to the week that we release this, I think we're going to get to the point where they release a cryptic teaser and it'll just say at the end like the Game Awards or something. See us there, because I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to show something at the Game Awards. It's around the corner, 12th of December or something like that. Jeff Keighley's The Dorito Pope returns. So I very much expect them to build up to that.
Yeah, I just thought of that like by the time we're recording this, it's going to be out. But yeah, the Game Award announcement's going to be on Monday. Did you hear that? But that like, nah, dude, I'm not ready for this. Like 2024 has already been a rough year. I'm not ready for this botched Game Awards announcements, man. Like I'm not ready for this. I swear, dude, if Banishers doesn't get any nominations, I'm done. I'm done with this planet.
I haven't followed it as well because I saw some of the panelists. I think the panel was weird of like jurors are selecting for this one, whatever. But it's
really?
But I think there's like been a story or something on Twitter recently where it's like they've revised like the what things can be nominated for categories. So I think it's like DLCs can be included, for example, in certain categories. But I've been a firm believer, for example, that remakes should never ever be considered for award. I'm sorry, it might take a job. It might take a job to revamp it. It might take a job of like doing all the extra efforts. But Resident Evil 4 remake, when it was nominated last year, I think it was, should never be nominated. Neither should Resident Evil 2 remake. Neither should be Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. None of them should be. They're not original properties. Because it's like, why are we taking up a spot in an award segment for a game that's been released before? You're not doing anything differently. Really, no. It's just a revamp of essentially the same experience. So I'm not taking that. Adam, I expect them to be at the Game Awards with Lost Records. They're going to drop the budget on it.
Oh yeah, drop a trailer in the. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, they're not going to.
Yeah, they're gonna explore it. After we find out, right? That Banishers wins games of the year.
Imagine. Then you see Oscar go by like writing on the assets in his office, like just shaking his hands. And you see the STJV tweet being like, "Ha, told you so."
Yeah, dude.
Tries to make a light heart of a good situation here. But yeah, I expect them to be at Game Awards. I expect all this to be cryptically leading up to it. They have to use the Game Awards, Adam. It's that conversation we've had time and time again. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about Neko. It's not about any of those people who are excited for Lost Records. They need to get the bigger audience. And you keep saying to me off podcast as well, Avowed is coming out in that game. And it's like I feel sorry for those guys, man. They had a great window this year.
I say to you, I'll say it openly on podcasts. Like Avowed is coming on the same day, and I've been looking forward to Avowed for a very, very long time. Like since that teaser trailer came out, like I've wanted Avowed, and it's finally coming, dude. And one of my favorite composers is composing it, Venus Theory. So I'm just like, I'm so stoked for Avowed, and Lost Records comes on the same day as Avowed. So it's just kind of like, I'm not trying to say like Lost Records has to win me, because yeah, I'm buying both games. Like, are you kidding me? But even for me, right? If I wasn't on this podcast and I was like, oh man, I gotta get Avowed or Michelle Coe's game. If I was just a normal gamer, right? I'd be just like, I love Michelle Coe, but I really want to get Avowed. I'll get Lost Records when it's on sale. That's the unfortunate thing, dude. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that on this podcast. But Avowed is strong, dude. It's Obsidian. It's an Elder Scrolls game.
It's a big game. It's a big game. It's a big name, literally. And this is in a window where apparently Assassin's Creed's coming out. You pulled that list up before. We've seen tons of games coming out.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, coming out that month.
I think that they're hoping they bank on that during that month gap. That can kind of like really hopefully like build the momentum with like the marketing or something, like something gets people into it because they've heard things about it. But it's just like
I think they're banking on March though, because March coming out the second tape, right?
Yeah.
I just want to pull up real quick. March 2025 game releases, because they're probably banking on people like getting to the March one and using February as kind of like an early access kind of thing.
Or
not really.
Or the reception's good from the February version. We get to March, and then obviously everyone's talking about it, so then people buy into it. Very similar to like during the first Life is Strange, after a couple of episodes, where people started to get involved in it. Potentially, that's an option for it.
All right, you ready for this? So I just want to go over one more time, just going for February and then going for March. Let's see the comparison's sake here, right? So February. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Civ 7, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Date Everything, Adnan, Date Everything. So weird. Legends of Heroes, Tomb Raider Remastered, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, Tape 1, Avowed, Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh my God.
That's February. Okay? Now, Tape 2 comes out in March. Let's see the comparison here. Okay. In March, we have Football Manager 25. We have Suikoden 1 and 2 remastered. So it's another remastered game. We have Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. We have, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. The Alchemist of Memories. Tales of the Shrine, Adamfall, Rain World DLC, and Inzoi, along with Lost Records Tape 2. So you see what I'm getting at? It's just like February is stacked, and March is kind of like when Lost Records becomes the definitive edition. They have that window. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only other issue you have to worry about with March is if anything's announced at the Game Awards and then it's targeted for March. That could be the
but like how many games get announced in March? Like we had Zelda in 2016.
We didn't expect a Life is Strange game this year. Like, remember that? When we were at June, we were like, nah, they're going to release this. It'll be 10-year anniversary. It's like, nah, here you go, October. And I was like, what? I was like, this is weird.
Did they announce when Death Stranding 2 is coming out?
No, Kojima's not mentioned it, but he's. But remember, his interview was like on that stage where he's like, "It's coming out in 2025," and then the first comment's like, "This dog's waiting to find out when GTA is coming out before he says
Yeah.
anything else." So yeah, I never mention anything for a date. If anything, the first part of the year is going to be more stacked. If anything, the first and second half, because no one's going for Q4. If you put your game out near GTA, you might as well just like close the studio down and like pack your bags and go somewhere else.
Oh my god! You know what hasn't been announced? I'm looking through the list right now on Game Rant of like games that haven't been announced. I see one. The Wolf Among Us 2 hasn't been announced for what date? Brother. South of Midnight hasn't been announced. I'm surprised
do you think
about
we'll
that.
still see The Wolf Among Us 2? They keep saying it's still in development, it's still happening, but because do you know what, Adam, as well? I wish, for example, that the Deck 9 team that worked on The Expanse was doing The Wolf Among Us. Do you know, like they had collaborated somehow? Because apparently one of the cancelled games was a Walking Dead game that they were going to get the Deck 9 team to do. But it's like...
Ghost of Yote hasn't been announced what the date is.
There you go.
Also, I want to point out the other game that hasn't been announced yet. The Pokemon game. Pokemon XY. Yeah, Pokemon Legends Z through A. Pizza. Pokemon Pizza.
It only needs 1 or 2 games in March to cause a bit of,
oh, dude, Mixtape hasn't been announced yet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
We don't know.
Can't wait for that.
I know. Like, that's what I mean, dude. Like, there are a good list of games. I am still buying, and I beg everybody watching this podcast to still buy Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. Like, I'm buying Avowed and Lost Records.
Yeah.
But I understand at the same time, because again, if I was just a normal dude, I would be like, I'm going to play Avowed and I will get Lost Records eventually. And that's, I understand that,
Yeah. The best part is if you didn't buy the Ultimate Edition, you'd be able to buy Lost Records with your saved cash, just to put that out there one more time.
I'm buying the Ultimate Edition of Avowed, baby. I need that soundtrack, and I need that steelbook with no disc in it.
No, not that Ultimate Edition. The Life is Strange one I meant.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you listen to us and you saved yourself money, you would be able to get Lost Records for that price. But Adam, should we move on to our next?
I thought you were talking about me. I was like, no, I want my steelbook with no disc in it.
No, I'm giving you your steelbook. Should we jump into our next piece of news?
Yeah, we've only just
Let's get into this one quickly. So we've got Life is Strange here, Adam. We've got the soundtrack.
I got things to say about this. I got things to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you say this, but yeah, we've got the Life is Strange Double Exposure soundtrack. It's now available on streaming services. You can check it out. So I'm gonna close that. But yeah, it's a very quick piece there as well. And you've done a bit of research into this as well, a bit of digging that you found.
Okay, so I'm not gonna screen share. There's no point in doing it. You just have to take my word for it.
I saw the evidence, guys.
You saw the evidence. So yeah, the soundtrack is now out on streaming services. That's wonderful, right? Streaming on Spotify, streaming on Apple. I don't have either. I've canceled both because I don't like supporting a place that really doesn't support me as a music artist. So I'm not supporting them. Now, I do listen to my iPod, and I've been buying music on iTunes, right? I think that's a great way to support an indie artist, because just to give you some quick math, right? So I'm going to pull up my calculator here, right? So let's say an album is $10, but to get to $10, right? To get to $10 on Spotify, right? You need to listen or like 3,333 times, right? To stream. So you need 3,333 streams on one track to get $10, right? Now, divide that up. Let's say there's 12 tracks on that album. You need to listen to an album all the way through 278 times, right? All the way through just to get that album to $10 on streaming. Or buy the album for $10. Great way to direct support. So that being said, that's why I'm not on it. Anyways, off my soapbox now. I'm off the high horse. Here we go. On iTunes, this album Tessa Rose Jackson, I guarantee you, did not set this price. I'm not putting this on her. I'm putting this on Square. And Square likes to upcharge so much, right? It is $20 on iTunes. It's $20, which is 13 tracks with 3 acoustic tracks, right? Now let's put this in comparison's sake. And I showed this to Adnan. This is what got me a little bit. It's like, that's weird. Because the soundtrack to Tenet, right, which is one of the greatest soundtracks I've listened to in the past decade, is $12, right, for the soundtrack for that. The soundtrack for Skyrim is $16. Okay. The only ever time I bought a soundtrack for $20 on iTunes is Joe Hisaishi's Celebration album. So this is Joe Hisaishi's celebration of years, decades of Ghibli movies, and just in a collected package of like a celebration of Joe Hisaishi's work for $20. For Square to price this album for $20, I was like, you've got some big balls, Square, to like price yourself on the same level as Joe Hisaishi's Celebration album, but more than a Skyrim album. I'm like, that's some cojones you got there, dog. I did not buy it, but like, you know, good for Tessa that she's on Spotify. But I just, dog, Square, you gotta chill, you gotta relax, dude. Because dog, there's some really good soundtracks that like deserve more money, but they know their market. And Square deciding that they're worth $20, I'm just like, dog,
Yeah,
relax on that, dude.
She's fantastic, Tessa Rose Jackson. Like the soundtrack is by far one of the better aspects of Double Exposure. And I feel like she was working with the parameters of Square Enix and among many other things. So it's like, you know, she did a great job with it. She produced the music. And again, she doesn't dictate the price of it, but it is egregious, the price. But again, that's reflective of everything else with Double Exposure in terms of the Ultimate Edition, all the other prices.
Yes.
So it makes sense of it. But I just don't get why they don't put it out for $10 and just bring it on a cheap and then get every Life is Strange fan to buy it, because the margins are going to be better. Because when it's $20, as you said, people aren't going to buy it. They're just going to stream it. And it's like
Zed's album was $10, I believe. Zed,
the G.
Like that's the thing. Disney, when they put out their pop punk album, right? That was $8 on iTunes. $8. Disney and a bunch of like the top hitting pop punks, and they're doing covers of their own. $8. $20. I was just like, God dang, Square. Who do you think you are, dude?
It's not even
Who
physical
do you think
either.
you are?
It's not even a physical version. It's a digital version. So it's like you're not actually buying a physical copy. It's like just a $20 on a digital version. But it's just a bit weird because it's a good soundtrack. If you sold it for $15 or $10 as a physical version, people would buy it.
If it was $15, I don't think I would have blinked an eye. Because I'm just
if
like,
it was
physical,
okay. I wouldn't blink an eye either.
Yeah.
You could own the physical copy of it with my vinyl and stuff. Like, perfect. I would definitely do that. Yeah, I agree with you though.
Digital iTunes for $20. I'm like, and again, the only other soundtrack that I can think of is Joe Hisaishi's Celebration.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I gladly pay $20 for that. I'm like, dude, can I pay $50 for this? I love me some Joe Hisaishi. But here we are.
I just don't get why the artists just don't put out their music at cheaper price, because people are just going to add it to their streaming services anyway. Like, I've got the album added to my Apple Music. It's like, just put it at a lower price. What the hell are you selling it for $20 for? It's like, it's just weird pricing, if anything, on that.
Yeah, I'm going to put all my albums for $20 now. Now that I know that I can just put up. I know there are some artists, there's some indie artists that put their albums out for an egregious price, but I'm like, that's your decision as an independent artist. You know, like you say, my art is worth this much. It's Square coming around saying like, nah, we can squeeze out a couple more bucks from these Life is Strangers, you know?
Life is Strangers.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Should we jump into our next piece of news?
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you for digging into that, by the way, as well. It's quite nice to actually look the price up as well, because it gives a quite a crazy context on that, if anything. Adam, there's a couple of pieces in here. We're back on it. We're back on interview season. We are back on interview season. And obviously, Felice Kuan, the narrative director, and Jonathan Stauder, the game director of Life is Strange Double Exposure, have been out on the rounds again, Adam, for interviews. I hope you're excited because there are some cracking quotes.
By the way,
in here.
whenever we see PSU, I'm just thinking Penn State University. So
I ain't gonna crack the jokes either, or Penn State University. We're gonna leave that. But Adam, we are back in full season here, and we're back with John Stauder and Felice Kuan saying their things here. We're just going to start off here quickly, Adam, which is one where it says, what was the thought process and deciding factor in bringing Max back as the main protagonist? As until now, we've always played as different characters. And Jonathan Stauder responded saying, these games start with a bit of a quote-unquote chicken or egg, end quote, situation in which we explore various supernatural powers and various character arcs for the protagonist. Neither the power or the character necessarily comes first, but do eventually combine to form the start of our development process. In this case, we realized that the power to shift between two timelines would allow players to spend quite a bit of time examining two different outcomes of a different choice. We then realized that it provided a wonderful gameplay hook to explore what happened to Max in the years since the first game, end quote. So before I continue on the interview, Adam, they have not learned. It's like they're talking about powers first and then the character. You can't say that you've combined both of them. You have thought about the power and then you're like, let's bring Max in there. Because evolving rewind into splitting timelines is not an evolution of a power. I will repeat that one more time.
Yeah.
Evolving rewind into splitting timelines is not an evolution of powers. That's like saying the Flash goes from running to flying, and someone saying that is an evolution of his power. It is not an evolution of the power. So,
yeah, I would say an evolution is going forward in time. Sure.
Thank you. Because we still keep the parameters of what the power is. Fast forward, rewind a certain section like pocket time,
pausing time, like that's
something.
Yeah. But splitting timelines, I guarantee it though. They had their character in mind, and Square's like, put Max in.
Yeah,
put Max in. Shouldn't we talk about this? Nah, we're gonna put Max in now.
Yeah. It's like, come on, dog. It's like, we're gonna get Max in there. We want her in there. Adam, this was one of the interesting pieces I took from this as well that I want to pull up here. So this is Felice Kuan, and someone PSU said, it might be like picking out a favorite child, but who's the team's favorite character from Double Exposure, and why is it Moses? And Felice said, lol. Or, well, I don't know if it said lol, but it says, one of the things we're proudest of is creating a cast of smart, driven, diverse characters that screw up and make questionable choices. Sorry for my laughter. It's their flaws and desires that make these characters more interesting to us. And we've loved writing those moments where even Moses shows some edge. Fun fact, Loretta was originally created as someone struggling with confidence who looks up to Lucas, but she wasn't standing out. As soon as she became the shameless snooper that she is in Double Exposure, everyone loved her, and it made her supportive moments with Reggie even more meaningful. Now, Adam, my theory here, and I put it out last night on Twitter and just thinking, I feel like this was basically what you alluded to in the review and stuff, where it said that Maya Okada, the storyline, is the Rachel Amber disappearance. I also said that this might even be Maya Okada before Maya Okada was a thing, because obviously if she looks like Rachel Amber, as everyone said from the very beginning, we all got loads of people got confused. I'm going to say loads of people got confused. They're like, it's Kylie Brown. Adam's like, it's not Kylie Brown. I've heard her voice.
It's not Kylie.
And it's like, everyone's like, this is Rachel Amber. But then it doesn't turn out to be Rachel Amber by the end of the game. It's like, the way that they've kind of positioned her as this kind of character, she basically screams Rachel Amber with a love interest of Jefferson, in that kind of vein of what it is like, she's like, ooh, he's cute, and he's like this cute teacher and blah, blah. This is the Maya Okada storyline, which it feels like it's changed from. Would you agree with me on that? I think this was Maya Okada before Maya Okada was a thing.
Absolutely. I mean, this game feels like, we said it in the review, that this game just feels like it lacks direction. And I feel like part of that lacking direction is that there was just last minute changes. They're just like, oh, I don't want it like this. Oh, I don't want it like this. Square's coming in like, oh, don't do that. Do this. So just a mess. And I think Loretta was supposed to be in a much larger role, but was sent out.
Which adds on to the marketing. Because remember, the marketing makes her seem to be bigger. And then we're all like, when we get to the game, we're like, hang on a minute. Why is she in like only sporadic scenes? Why is she in limited sequences? It felt like if you were doing the marketing the way that they were going to do, she would be the one of the murder suspect, like, the kind of like suspect, a murder victim that builds into the Maya Okada storyline. That's why the marketing feels out of place, because everyone was sitting there afterwards thinking, why is Loretta so much in the marketing here? Why is she playing a part in it and then she's not in the game that much? But you're right though, Adam. It feels like
I'm always right. I don't know what to tell you.
But it feels like, honestly, you could. Do you know how this kind of game plays out in terms of the story? You could basically swap Lucas and Vince Alderman as characters, and it wouldn't make any difference. Like they're not prerequisite for who they are, because like Vince Alderman could be Lucas, and Lucas could be Vince Alderman in those roles, and it wouldn't make any difference. It feels like they're just characters written within this universe that are tied with this kind of like story. Like there's nothing else to them. And it's like when she says like we turned her into a shameless stoopster, and everyone loved her. Did they? I thought some people found Loretta quite annoying in the game. Like I thought she was cutesy annoying, but then it becomes
especially like I was gonna say, like, especially like the first time you interact with Loretta, she's like, "Oh, hi." Anyways, what did you think of this? I'm like, what the hell, dude?
It's the Alderman thing. It's the 1 to 100. Do you know where he goes like ape, and it's like the exact same thing with. I think her actress is lovely.
Ape. Yeah,
the actress is lovely. Ashley, I think she's lovely. I think she does a great performance. Again, I think the actors carry this game.
I think all the actors are fine. Like, it's just the writing was just, what are we doing? It's just so sporadic, and there's no direction. And I just feel like, I feel like there was a lot of ideas that weren't pulled through, like we just discussed.
Honestly, it's just so furious. You can just see the plot holes and the strands and all the things that emerge from it. Adam, 2 more bits from the interview quickly, because I thought this kind of ties in with the soundtrack as well. It's kind of interesting when I look back on it. It says, do you work closely with the composers to match the tone of the games? Because they're always spot on. How does that process work? I don't know why because doesn't have a capital letter, but as you will. We always work closely with Feel for Music, who have sourced licensed songs and composed for Life is Strange franchise ever since the first game. For Double Exposure, we relied on original songs and a score composed specifically for this game. We did that because we wanted the music to express specific themes for Max and Safi, then demonstrate how the two change each other to become something different by the end of the story. We write briefs to describe the scene we're intending a song to fit into, and then stay in constant contact with our partners to keep them up to date with things as things evolve during development. Often when a song is delivered, we will revisit cinematic or gameplay it is meant to go and make adjustments so the song fits as perfectly as possible, end quote. So obviously that's how do the music.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you as well, because I was thinking about it. Go on.
That's basically what they just said is, so what they just said, an equivalent to, like, let's say you're a barista, right? It's like, how does being a barista work? Well, first I get an order for the coffee, and then I go and make that coffee. Like, they just said exactly what happens in composing for anything. So it's just like, it's like, how did you make it so perfectly? Same procedure as always. Like, that's what it is. What are we gonna ask though?
No, but I was gonna ask you as well, because like I was listening back to the soundtrack and listening back to the songs. Doesn't it feel like the songs and the soundtrack is more composed for Safi than Max? Like, Illusion, the track, other tracks as well here and there. It feels like, I don't know if it's got a balance between Max and Safi or their relationship.
So a lot of things in composing for certain characters feel very subtle, and a lot of people will pick onto that. For example, I bring back Oxenfree because Oxenfree is the soundtrack that got me back into music. But Scientific specifically made themes for every single character. Like as a character arrives, there is a certain melody that plays for that certain character. Not a lot of people will pick up on that, nor should they.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of composing needs to be subtle flavors, but still kind of emphasize kind of in the same way that flavors emphasize a certain flavor. Like white chocolate will emphasize coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But that's what I see. In terms of your question, does it fit more with Safi than with Max? I think Max is a hard character to write for in terms of music, because one, I don't think Max was composed for in the beginning. I think they were in a composition, and then Square came around and said Max. And then if we try to write music for Max and Safi, where Max is a very much softer character, But in this game, she's a much harder and hardcore from the streets kind of character. You know, this one, dude, if I was in Tessa Rose Jackson's position, I would be like, what do you want me to do? Because we all know who Max is. We all know the character of Max, but you're making her completely different. So how do you want me to go about this? So I think you're right, but I also think Tessa faced like a brick wall trying to write a melody for this.
I agree.
So
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love the part where they're just like, oh yeah, like as developments happen, we work closely with. As developments happen, it's in like we're going to write for Max now.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to take this character out. We're going to do this character, and we're going to change Loretta around, and we're going to do this. Honestly, can people see why we're so critical of this game? If you think this game was made with harmony and synergy, I got lessons to tell you, folks, because Jesus Christ, the writing is already on the wall if you're not. But I don't. Let me pull you my favorite quote up. I'm going to remove it from the other interviews. We're not going to talk about it because it's in other interviews. But this is the most recent one, and it's in the PSU one. And it's right at the bottom, and it's with PSU, which says, "What is next for Deck 9 Games?" And it says, Jonathan Stauder says, "If you finish Double Exposure, there might be a few hints as to what is next. Hopefully, it won't be too long before we're less cryptic." End quote. Now, Adam, before you start, because basically Jonathan Stauder has done this in tons of interviews, which I've been tweeting about, where he's like, if we're lucky, we make another game. I genuinely think John Stauder was sitting there doing an interview like this, and then he looked at you guys like this, and he's like,
he gave him the old Jim Halpert look on The Office.
He was genuinely sitting in front of people doing the interview like this, and he's like,
wink.
It's like, oh no, I can't wait for Deck 9 to make the next Call of Duty game. Oh no, what do you think these 100 developers at Deck 9 are working on next? I can't imagine what they're working on next. Do you remember that job advert we put out a couple of months ago on one of the posts for a AAA game they're working on? What could it be?
What could it be?
What could it be when
oh my god,
Max Caulfield will return appears? What could it be?
So dumb. I mean, put it this way, man. I am trying to build my career as a composer.
Yeah.
If Square came to me and said, "Would you compose?" I would absolutely say no. No, not doing that, dude. Just a lack of direction, just these interviews, and I'm just like, no, not even. I don't care if it gets me the recognition that I need. No, absolutely not, dude. Screw that.
I just love how it's like on the notes, like, we might make it's like it says Max Caulfield will return. Do you know? I'm not even just chewing up John Stauder for it as well, because Felice Kuan is equally as complicit in this like catastrophe of PR interviews and stuff. But you know, Stauder deactivated his Twitter account. Yeah. Do you, if he comes back, I hope he uses the Max Caulfield will return, but he removes Max Caulfield and puts John Stauder will return.
John Stauder will return. Felice Kuan will tweet it. John Stauder will return.
Well, it's like, what are you guys doing? It's like we'll come on to the review part, because there's one in the games radar which we'll mention, but I'm not bringing up the all the other references that they're doing to sequels because it's in tons of the interviews. That was the most recent one, PSU. And Adam, generally, I was walking down with my Starbucks when I was like reading the interview, saw it, I stopped and I was like, and I'm like, do we just read it? I'm like,
yeah,
oh yeah, fantastic. It's like we didn't know that already. Like, what else are you going to tell us? Should we go into our next piece of interviews? Only one piece from this, if anything. It's very small as well. But I did find this interesting. It's a bit of it's kind of like you wouldn't notice it if you didn't see it. I think it's like a Malaysian organization. So this is a Life is Strange Double Exposure interview, Adam. And this is with John Stauder again, game director, and Aysha Farah, who's the one of the writers on the game. So this is the interesting part I wanted to pull up. So basically, it's about the powers. So, and let me clarify as well, because there's a little bit inaccuracy as we found when we were talking about it on Twitter. So I'm going to, so here it is. So it says, during the, quote unquote, during the development of Double Exposure, certain aspects of Max's powers evolved a great deal. Often we made adjustments to her powers to work with our budget, end quote. That's not a very good start, if anything, from Stauder and Farah. The most intriguing revelation was about an abandoned power concept called Entanglement, which would have introduced a unique approach to the series' signature time manipulation mechanics. Quote unquote, Max could have entangled the locked phone with the other phone to unlock it and spy on what the other person was using their phone for, end quote. The mechanic would have allowed for an intricate puzzle solving and investigation in scenarios, connecting objects and their properties across different timelines. So, Adam, before we start here as well, Entanglement is still in the game. We checked this as well.
Yes,
so
I remember these text threads that you sent me. It's like,
yeah,
I think it was like 10 at night for me, and you're just like, no, Adam, what is this? Did you see this in this game? I'm like,
so we put the graphic out, and a couple of people on Twitter helped us because they went back in the game and looked at it. Entanglement is still in the game. It's in one of the menu sections yet. And I think what Entanglement is as well is basically during the telescope sequence, and then also when she reconnects the ice in the 4th chapter where she like fixes it with the timeline. Yeah. It's like doing that. Yeah, it's a toned down version of it, if anything. So it's still in the game, but it's basically been diluted. When I read that interview, I was like, well, thank you for telling us the budget wasn't good enough for this game, so you couldn't work on these powers and thingy. And then secondly, I was like, I'm glad that you abandoned that power idea because one, you're already raising more deeply unethical questions about Max Caulfield spying on people because we haven't had that enough because she's doing it in the game where she goes into another timeline and spies on someone. This isn't Max, but let's leave that for the time being. Then on top of that as well, this probably also explains why there's a lack of puzzles in the game. Because they had to abandon an idea like this. You said to me yourself, you're like, where's the puzzles? I'm like, yeah, bro. I was like, where are the puzzles in this game?
Yeah, no, it so disappointing, man. It's so weird. Such a weird development cycle for this game, man. Like it's
development hell is a better word of putting it. I don't even think it's a cycle. I think it's a hell that this game has been through.
Yeah,
it's like I don't see much where I'm like sitting there thinking like, oh, fantastic. It's like it's looking good for positive reviews, but the power is like even reading that as well. It's like you use one phone to untangle another phone and then spy on. I'm like, what? Why is the sentence not make sense? Why are you not simplifying it? Simplify something. People kept coming to the reviews and saying, like, this is how you connect this pop-up. It's not explained properly enough. For example, this week I watched The Terminator again. Classic. James Cameron. Absolute classic. Anyone who watched that film could tell you what the time situation is in there. That Kyle Reese is sent back from the future to save Sarah Connor. They do their thing. John Connor is born. Not that hard. This one, when you put it next to Double Exposure, the plot points, you're like, okay, and who killed Safi? Was it Alt Max? Was it the 3rd timeline Max? Was it the 4th timeline Max? Was it alt cat content? What is it? And it's like, it's
all cat content. Yeah.
Honestly, it just doesn't, like, people defending this game, I give you a lot of credit because if you think the story is great, I
haven't met somebody who has thought that the story is great. I think from what I've gathered, a lot of people are just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think anybody's saying like, this is the greatest Life is Strange game ever, you know?
Oh, there are some people that have actually said that, which I find like baffling.
What?
Yeah, the people who put fucking Double Exposure at the top. I swear, people who put fucking Double Exposure at the top, and I'm like, are you sniffing glue? Are you like, and I'm not even doing it like, if you enjoyed this game, great. Again, I've said it before, great. I don't go and attack other people's opinions. If you have enjoyed this game, fantastic. Glad that you enjoyed it. Even our review, for example, I think like our review that we did on that podcast, the reception says it all, the way that people react in the comments. If you enjoyed this game, great. But if it's the top of your list.
Put it this way, I have no reason to hate those people because I say this with all pride that my favorite album of all time ever in existence is Casbo's Making of a Paracosm. And they're just like, above Fleetwood Mac's rumors, well, bloody hell. And I'm like,
God, oh my.
I'm like, yeah, above every single album ever created, Casbo's Making of a Paracosm is my favorite album of all time. So like if people say that like Double Exposure is their favorite Life is Strange game, I have no reason to say you're wrong, but it's just like, that's a wild take, dude. That's a wild take.
I do. You're wrong because it's definitely not the best. like, sorry, you can enjoy it, but if you were like doing it objectively and looking at trying to definitively rank the games,
what is your favorite album of all time?
Oh, that's a good question. That.
Yeah. of all time, your favorite, not like the definitive best album ever created. That goes to Fleetwood Mac rumors. But like what is your favorite album of all time?
It's a really hard one, to be honest. There was a band,
Yeah.
but we can't talk about them anymore because they're marred in controversy. It was going to
As
go.
are they dying? Damn.
No, it's not. It's a bit more extreme than that. It was a Welsh band, but we'll leave it at that for anything.
I gotcha. Yeah.
It would have been a Paramore album, but I think I'm going to say Zed now. I think Clarity is like one of the best albums I've ever seen written from start to finish.
Yeah.
Bottom track, from like that track all the way down for me. That's like why it's my
No
personal
skips.
favorite. No skips.
Yeah.
Nope. I listen to every
Yeah.
single song. It's all in the Apple Music. It'll play. They all get hit. I think that's personally my favorite from it. Otherwise, it would have probably been a Paramore album. It would probably been like maybe Brand New Eyes. I think I've been Brand New Eyes.
Oh, I was gonna say if you said Riot, like I would have just judged you hard.
Riot's got like 3 or 4 good songs. It's like the rest of the album is like
That's why I would have judged you so hard.
Fair play. Because I think even all we know is Falling is maybe potentially better than Riot. But I think Brand New Eyes was the perfect, like that was when they hit their synergy and like the sounds.
Yeah, I agree.
That. Unbelievable. Yeah, I think it'd either be Brand New Eyes or it'd be Zed's Clarity. That would be the one I'd pick from that. But I love how we don't really want to talk about Life is Strange. We moved on to this instead as a conversation. But Adam, like to kind of like wrap up this interview at least as well. God Almighty, they just didn't understand this game. It's like with Entanglement, with this power, with the budgets, and it's like, who is making this game? It's like, what was happening here? I'm not even hating on the game for the sake of it. I wanted to enjoy this game. I wanted to enjoy it. I think there was potential just to make a Max game. I think there was a potential to make a Max and Chloe game. I think there was a potential to make a lot of Life is Strange games. But when you see in the later interviews, as Felice Kuan keeps talking about untapped potential with Max Caulfield, it's like, ugh. Should we go into the next interview quickly?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Right. So Adam, right, we're going back into this interview again, guys. This is with Games Radar. So this is again Felice Kuan, John Stauder came out post game, and this is an interview. Adam, I just want to direct you to this one quote. Yeah.
Yes.
The decision to bring back Max for a new adventure has proven divisive, as has the way developer Deck 9 handled the spectre of Chloe Price. It's a situation the studio is still processing in the days after the release of Life is Strange Double Exposure. Quote unquote, with the reviews, we've got high highs and a couple of low lows. But I think that's better than it coming out and being just really, really the middle of the road, says Stauder. Some people have a strong reaction to it, whether it's positive or negative, and I find that very interesting. It's not something I've been through before, so this is all new for me. What is that quote? What is that quote? I have never seen anything like that in the video game industry. That is the weirdest quote I have ever seen. It's got high highs and low lows, and it's better not being in the middle of the road. What? Like what? I think if
that is uncertainty in a single quote. That's just uncertainty. Like that's avoiding what the game is. You know what I mean? Like that's just avoiding it. Having 2 characters was really key. We really knew. Yeah, no, like that's yikes. Like own up to it.
Yeah,
own up to it. Like this is just like, well, it's better than being in the middle. It's better than being in the middle. I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like middle is pretty nice to be in, you know?
Yeah. You said it before. If like a game gets a 7 out of 10, you have good expectations going into it.
Yeah,
but this game,
I love 7 out of 10 games. Hell yeah.
But this game has fallen to a 7 out of 10 based on expectations of the other of like really high reviews and really low reviews. I still question the really high reviews because this game is a mess just beyond Max and Chloe. It's got that many stranded plot points. It makes no sense. And it's like, as you said, accountability, just own up to it, because whether there's a publisher or you, probably the publisher, you had a decision to make here. You made the decision and you made a pig's dinner of the entire thing. It's like, I just don't get it. It's like, I've never seen anything like that as an interview. When I was reading it, I was like, what?
Yeah. No, it's, man, what a game, dude. What an interview round. What a press round for this game, dude. Like,
could you imagine being the Square person on the call with them? I'd be like, Like, what do we even say here? It's like,
Yeah. I I don't know what to make of this, man. I
'cause
really don't.
the difference is, for example, with Sean Murray with like No Man's Sky, he accepted the
Yes.
fact that it just didn't do well, but then they made the game better. So like, okay, it
Yeah.
didn't hit the expectations. Hello Games worked on it and made it a better game. These guys are just like, oh well, we didn't expect that. Oh, we didn't expect that, and oh, we got high highs and low lows. It's like egos. People with egos. It feels like narcissism. Not saying these people are, but I'm saying it feels like narcissism. It feels like egocentric behavior. It feels like too many creatives who think that they're the next Steven Spielberg and the next Stephen King, where it feels like they're really like the next Uwe Ball and some really bad writer. Like it feels like that comparison of like bad, because I think there's anything great about Double Exposure. The acting, the performance direction, the soundtrack, even the building and assets, etc. is all overshadowed by very poor creative direction and poor writing.
Agreed. Yeah.
That's ultimately, that's my scathing assessment of this game. That's what it is, and that's what annoys me more, because basically the writers just can't accept accountability for making a really bad narrative.
It's a pig's dinner of a game.
Pig's dinner. As
that's probably my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite British
I don't even know if it's a British thing. Is it a British thing? I just use it as my kind of thing.
I've never heard of pig's dinner. Like they made a pig's dinner. Like when you texted me that, I'm like, I appreciate that one. Yeah. Yeah. Pig's dinner. I appreciate that. Does Britain say like for a spell? Like, oh yeah, I'll come in for a spell.
No, not really. No,
it just means like for a moment. Like, yeah, I'll go in for a spell.
I mean, you just say like, let me in.
Let me in. Like I invited this one guy in, like a friend of mine is like, hey, you want to like get some like beer or something? And it's like, yeah, I'll go for a spell. What? What is that? What are you talking about? And it's like, oh yeah, I'll go for a moment. I'm like, we're just getting a beer, dude. What are you doing? Just like, I don't know.
Adam, one last bit from this interview quickly. The game's radar one is big. There's a lot of other stuff in here, environments and stuff like that. I want to bring this one in here as well, which was it's from Felice Kuan. That it says Deck 9 insisted that Deck 9 insists it always had plans to take Life is Strange in this direction, concepting the return of Max back in 2021 as the studio wrapped the production of True Colors. We had just done an original Life is Strange story, and in the interest of innovating, we looked deeply at the franchise and at what people resonated with. It was clear that the original protagonist was untapped as something we were interested in exploring, having already looked at her kind of obliquely through Chloe Price and through Steph Gingrich. A new protagonist wasn't one of the options on board in that initial phase. It really was always Max and what we could do with her, not just immediately after Arcadia Bay, but as a person with a life ahead of her.
I call bull.
It just reads like it, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, but it's like it says like that as well. You started concepting it back in like 2021, and it's like, did you? It's like, did you? And it's like, did you really plan Max to be on the production on here? It's like it doesn't feel like it. There's like about a million different questions there. That just screams. Yeah. Sorry, that screams PR speak for me. I'm not buying a single word of that, among many other things that I've heard of it. But like honestly, like not a chance.
Absolute bull. No.
It is bull. Like there's so many things. You read these interviews and you like get really aggravated by it because it's just people who don't. Honestly, Adam, the assessment we made in the review as well is almost like people who'd never played the first Life is Strange. And you might take that as offensive, but it's the truth. If you play this, it feels like someone who's given something that they've never played before and they've made something from it. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. Like,
nah, dude. Like, again, the press rounds on this one is just insanity. Like, I don't understand. Like, what's going on here? Like, it's just a lack of direction. This game in this press round really proves it. That it's just like a lack of direction. That there is just a bunch of yes men, like all sitting around a table and just patting themselves on the back, like, yeah, we wanted Max in the first place. Yeah, no new protagonist. Yeah, no.
Hyping everything up. It's like, nah. You need to be dragged down. Even some of the greatest developers in history have like had people who are editors. Even for example in the film industry, Steven Spielberg is great because he has a great editor. Yeah. Same with Martin Scorsese, he has a great editor. They've worked with those editors for long times. I can't remember their names, but like I used to remember them as like very famous connections with them. But they have very great developers, great editors because they help refine the overall project. Even the greatest minds in the world need someone to kind of like reel them in because you get dragged away very quickly. on creative process. Adam, last 2 interviews. Should we quickly go into the next one? Because there's a couple of things from Inverse, and then we'll go into we'll end on a high note. We'll end on a high note with a better person, if anything. So Adam, this was from Inverse, and obviously, good old John Stauder, Felice Kuan, back on the media rounds again. I just wanted to pull you up here, Adam, as well, which is, with Max coming back, is there any chance we could see other characters or games return? Have you thought about that? And Stauder said, never say never. It entirely depends on how folks respond to this game and how it goes over, where we head next. Take a different swing every time out, and nothing's ever off the table. It's one big interconnected universe, and because it's a choice-driven game where we have time travels involved and whatnot, canon is pretty flexible. We can put we can put you wherever, and it is player determining the course of events. So there's a lot of flexibility and freedom there to explore different stories, bringing back past characters and integrating them with new ones. End quote. So Daniel is definitely getting slaughtered next. Who do you think is getting slaughtered next, Daniel or Alex Chen?
The 3 words that I just want to focus on right now.
I'm honestly done.
The 3 words that ruins entire franchises. It ruined Assassin's Creed. It ruined Star Wars. It ruined so many franchises. I just want to focus on 4 words. My bad. 4. Canon is pretty flexible. Why not? Just put Barney the dinosaur into Life is Strange, because canon is just flexible. Hell, why don't we make a deal with Nike and put LeBron James in Life is Strange? Because canon is pretty flexible. I'm trying to stay calm.
I hope they recreate the dark room sequence in the next game, and they also have Max wearing LeBron sneakers in the dark room. just add on the
again.
Canon is flexible. Canon is flexible.
Jonathan Stauder is still a human being. I'm not saying this in a way that he's a bad person. Okay, I made it pretty clear in my statement in the last one. Like, these are all still human beings. I am disagreeing them on a creative level. Okay, Jonathan Stauder saying that canon is pretty flexible. I don't care what the IP is. Canon should not be flexible, dude. Like canon is what ruined the later seasons of Friends.
Agreed.
Okay. Like that's the thing. It's like you have to establish canon so rules make sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. America's canon is why Trump got elected. Let's just be honest here. Like, canon was not flexible in America's thing. I'm going to be political. I don't care. Did I vote for Trump? No, absolutely not. But, however, canon was not flexible in that way. What I'm trying to get at is that, like, the more you try to have this attitude of any IP, that canon is pretty flexible, that's where you get into problems. Yeah. What was your issue with the Star Wars trilogy? What was your issue? Yeah, the new trilogy.
Shouldn't have existed.
Yeah. Because, like, one, the trilogy in of itself's canon was just meh. And they're just like, you know what? Luke doesn't care about Jedi anymore. Why not? He only established, like, the rise back of Jedi, you know? But now he doesn't. He's just silly now. He's just a silly old guy drinking blue milk on an island. That's great. I don't like this attitude of just having canon is pretty flexible. Taking different swing every time out and nothing's ever off the table. It's one big interconnected. No, it's not. Well, I mean, it is. Yes, it is an interconnect. But in the same way that Alan Wake and Control are in the same universe, right? That Hideo Kojima is in the same universe as, you know, everything else. Like he lives in multiple universes. Why do you think he goes to sleep? No, he just goes to a different timeline to sleep and comes back to our new one.
But it's that thing as well with when you said swing as well, we'll take a swing. I would not send Jonathan Stauder out to bat for me in the baseball because he'd be swinging a lot and getting straight strikes. But it's the thing with like 2 episodes ago, we talked about canon. Emma did that entire post, remember? We talked about it, and we were
Yes.
like, she understands canon and she
Yeah.
gets it. And it's like, these lot do not get it because you can't just change things at a whim to make sense. Because Adam, I put this on Twitter as well, just to think about it. Do you know, because like in the game Double Exposure, there's that moment where Max is shooting Safi, yeah? And
Yes.
obviously there was kind of like theories at first where it's like, it could have been Safi as a shapeshifter Max. It could have, like, because she's crying a little bit. I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, in the remastered collection, they added, for example, Max crying at Chloe's funeral. And I was like,
Yes.
no. And I started connecting dots. I was like, no. It's obviously nothing confirmed yet, but I was like, if you start revisioning history now, I'm going to be so angry. And it's like, when I read quotes
Yeah.
like that, it's like, yeah, this is what they were doing at the end of Double Exposure with all those references, because none of it makes sense. Like,
None of it makes
none
sense.
of it. You could make.
Especially like, did you read the tweets from Victoria Chase in your phone?
Oh my God. Oh my
So
God.
corny, dude. I was like, never meet your heroes. Like, okay, God, yeah, we understand. It's Victoria in here, great, but no.
Well, it's as bad as
get-
the journals from Max and Chloe, and the same with what Chloe's saying in text.
Oh
and then
my
Chloe,
God, yeah.
Chloe bumming Victoria. It's like, what? It's like, how did that happen? It's like, you haven't established a canon for that. Do it like Emma, where you build the story for them to become friends eventually, where they reach a sense of reality. You can't just put things together, John. John, you worked at Telltale. You might have worked on certain games, which I don't think were the best in the entries, but they were still like,
No.
they respected their canon though. They were established franchise. You can't say respecting canon is pretty flexible. Oh yeah, let's bring Sean Diaz back for the next game. Hang on a minute, doesn't Sean die in one of the endings? Oh no, forget about it. He's brought back, and it's like
it's not to say that canon isn't flexible. Canon
Yeah.
can definitely be flexible. You know what I mean? You can definitely what's the word? Retcon. You can definitely retcon things. And it makes sense. But to have the attitude that it's pretty flexible, doesn't matter. Nah, who cares? Like that's not an attitude I want in a Life is Strange franchise, you know?
Yeah. It's because I agree with you. So, for example, you can retcon things, but I think you have to go back and look at your story and see where the holes are for it. So it's like, if you find a reasonable hole where you can be like, we can retcon that in, great, for example. So,
like retconning Max's parents in, sure. Like we don't know her parents at all, really. Like we know like
text.
By text here and there, but like we can definitely retcon like her dad being a lot more strict, you know?
Yeah.
Like we can definitely do that. That's a flexible canon.
Certain
but like
liberties, very few certain. If you like twist, it's like The Last of Us, for example, where they do it with the doctor.
Yeah.
Like that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's still a bit corny and it's a bit like but it's like if you thought about that as later idea and you can kind of work it as a narrative, fair game. I'm like, okay, there's probably room for it. So same with like when you say with Max's dad, they still established Max's dad to a certain respect, but if you wanted to make him a bit more stricter, you could probably be like, actually, there was a side to him we didn't see, and now it's being shown. So it's like, okay, fair enough. But as long as you integrate it within the story, it still has purpose within the story. These guys, again, this was the problem with Double Exposure. We're a sequel. Now we're not a sequel. We're a sequel. Now we're not a sequel. And it's like, can you not understand why I was like peeved off about the entire game? Why you were peeved off about the entire game when we were doing the review? Because like you're basically insulting my intelligence, your intelligence, and the audience's intelligence. And it's like, nah, we're not having that. Because it's like we have an established character, we have an established franchise, we have an established story with her, and you do not respect it because you're saying canon is pretty flexible. It shows with the fact that you don't show any trauma with her. Like, how is this character not traumatized?
Because it's flexible. Canon is flexible.
It's flexible, isn't it? It's flexible. That was the biggest. I keep saying to people, I'm currently doing like a counseling course, and I'm like learning it. I'm not trained to be a psychiatrist, for example. But I'm doing counseling. Counseling is like people don't get over trauma, man. It can define you unless you get it like properly treated. Even I think after therapy as well, you still show certain traits of trauma. It becomes part of your identity, and then you evolve it. Her trauma catches up in the 5th episode for story exposition, and it's like, where is it the entire freaking game? Why is she not teaching anyone? She's supposed to be an artist in residence. Why is she not in a classroom? The lights flicker and Jefferson appears. That would, by the way, before we move on to this as well, that was the story I think they should have told, which was her dealing with the demon that is Jefferson. the dementor, the tormentor.
Yeah.
Like he basically haunts her. And it's like an exposition on that trauma. Bring Chloe into it. Focus on that. If you eventually want to write Chloe out, do it. Like, but at least show respect to people, because ultimately you wrote her off screen and you peeved off half the fandom from that.
Yes.
This is the mess you made. And then when you start doing interviews saying, well, canon's pretty flexible, and the mixed reviews and some high highs and low lows. I'm not even taking digs at Jonathan Stauder. I've never met the guy. I've never spoken to him.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you are the creative person on the project now. At whichever point you came in on this project, you're the creative person. You have to take responsibility for it. That's like me putting this podcast out for however long it is, and there's no audio. And it's like, well, we got some high highs in views and some low lows in ratings, but it's in the middle of the ground. It's like, yeah, but the podcast has no sound, so no one could freaking listen to it. But there's some high highs in views. Like, honest,
wild,
right?
Wild.
Adam, should we just move into the next topic? I was going to bring the quotes that they had about the X-Men and the Avengers and stuff, but I'm not even going to entertain that because it's just peeving me off now a little bit. If you do want to go read the inverse interview, you can go read it. Should we go into a better high note, at least, to end on this as well? Well, sort of high note.
Let's do it.
So obviously, the lovely Hannah Telle has been part of the interview rounds. Yes, I think this is a positive for everyone as well, because Hannah was a standout in this entire production game as well. I just wanted to pull this up, Adam, because I thought it's quite a bit heart-wrenching as well, a little bit. And it says there from Games Radar, Life is Strange does have some great moments of levity, but it's also exceptionally raw in places too, particularly as we see Max navigate the aftermath of Arcadia Bay, her relationship with Chloe Price, the C word, the CP word, and the death of her friend Safi. Is tapping into that too difficult? And Hannah said, and I quote, I have a really strong relationship to the lore of Max and Chloe. When I was making the first game, putting all my emotion into that, I was drawing upon things in my life hidden deep within me to make it as real as possible. All these years later, the game has become a huge part of my life, encompasses every part of my dream of being an actress. So there's a lot of heavy emotions tied up with that relationship with Chloe. While we were making Double Exposure, a close friend of mine passed away, and that was very informative for my performance for how Max should relate to Safi's death. There are places I go and memories that I have which will trigger emotion. So it was easy to tap into those places in a way, but it's also hard because it takes its toll. End quote. Man, I felt so sorry for her, man. She deserved so much more than this. Like, she has, firstly, obviously, it's so sad to hear about her friends passing. Like, it's so sad to hear that, and then it's also like to have to tap into that to kind of go into this performance with what the game is around as well. It's pretty just brutal to kind of hear. But again, when she speaks in interviews, there's never any negative reaction. So, for example, when we put posts out, anything Hannah Telle puts out, people always say, I love her, I adore her, I feel so sorry for her because she's involved in this mess of a game.
Yeah.
And it's never directed to her. When anything goes out about Jonathan Stauder, Felice Kuan, Aysha Farah, and stuff, it's always negative because the difference is set in the tone for it. Because at least with her, she's not in the creative process. She's just an actor. And it's like there, she understands her character. She still understands her character. She is not being flexible with canon, because as you can see there with Max and Chloe, she's saying that was an important point in that game, and I really connected with it. We now move into this direction, and this is what helped me connect with this part of it. And it doesn't mean that she's forgetting about Max and Chloe and forgetting about Chloe, but she's respecting it. Respect is canon. You can be flexible with canon, but respect comes with it, though. And it's also, as well, Adam, it's not your canon because it's the Don't Nod canon. So it's how can you say that you're being pretty flexible with it when Michel, Jean-Luc, Christian Devine, Raoul Barbet, whoever it was in the game, made certain plot lines and storylines, and you're saying, oh, we're going to be pretty flexible. And it's imagine if you said that to me. Imagine if I did that to you. You wrote a script for a TV show, for your music, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can be pretty flexible with his sound, so I'm going to put 5 more tracks on this album. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's not mine. And no, it's just, again, once again, Max is very connected to it because she is Max, Hannah Telle is Max. So of course, she's going to tap into every emotion that she has for this and respect the character that she is.
Yeah.
But that is what it is, man. People who respect Life is Strange will respect it, but people who don't respect Life is Strange, their light is coming on, and it's not a good light.
No, it's just not. It's like you read the Hannah interview and it's so like grounded. It's real. She comes across as she
Yeah.
is an authentic person. I'm not even going to say she is an authentic person. She's just as she is a kind of person. But it's like it comes across as someone who knows the franchise they're working in. Any of the other interviews don't come across as that. So it's like she's just giving you straight views, and it's like, yeah, actually, I respect my character's history. I know my character's history. My character's history is me. So it's like
Yes.
it's almost like one and the same. I'm just kind of like, honestly, I'm a bit like. So let me quickly wrap up because we'll get one or two more quotes in here before we wrap up, Adam. And we'll move into our comment of the day. So obviously, Hannah talked about the process of getting into the game as well. So it was like, when she reached out here. But I wanted to point out here, so it says like, she kind of mentioned this before. So they asked, so your return was now guaranteed. She said, I had to audition because I was doing full performance capture and they had to make sure that I would be able to pull that off and make it look believable. So I went for a 3-day audition and then I didn't hear anything back for several months. I was worried and thought that I didn't do a great job, but I tried my best. When I ended up getting the part, I was with my family and I just broke down sobbing, which in itself, it speaks volumes about who she is as a person. And again, like just a little bit later down as well, it says, are there any moments you particularly loved working the game? All the cat content brought me so much joy. I mean, it's making me, this is so silly, but it's great, making me teary, just thinking how much fun I had pretending talking to an invisible cat and getting to call the cat all of my different cat names.
Yeah.
So yeah, for reference, all the cat names that you can choose are Hannah Telle's cats. And then it also says as well, I'll call you Miso Soup, Miso for short. Maybe the best line reading of the game. And she's bought. I had to make sure that I didn't include any bias inflection when I would say each cat's name, because because I have a very distinct relationship with each of my cats. So that was just so thrilling and fun, and I really felt like I came alive. I've always wanted to work with animals on camera, and even though there weren't actually any animals on the sound gate, I could very easily imagine it, and it felt so real and awesome. That was the highlight of my acting career, and laughs. So it's just, do you like the genuine sound of it, the noise, and also as well, this again does the things with the Stauder interview and the Felice interview where it's like they're like, well, this game was in development this year, and Max was always the intended character. So, for example, if Hannah Telle hadn't got the actual role, you would have gone ahead with it, and you would have bought someone else to play Max, wouldn't you? Or did you insert her in afterwards? Did you do this? There's like so many questions that conflate with it, because for her, she's obviously going to come back and defend her role. Industries are cutthroat. People change. They always, sometimes people come back for a role, some people don't. She fought for her role, because for me as well, and I'm going to personally say this, if she hadn't applied for that role, they would have gone ahead with Max anyway, and they would have made the excuse that she's older and she's got a different voice. And it's like, just night and day difference, man. I read that interview, I was like, thank you. Just send Hannah Telle on every interview from now on. Don't talk about anything else and just get grounded, honest opinions. Send Blue Allen out on an interview. Send Olivia Alabassi out on an interview. Send any of the other actors out on an interview, because they'll give you grounded, genuine opinions about the game. And no one's going to like dump on the game, because they tried their best with the game. And I feel for Hannah as well, because even, for example, that Adam as well, the cat content was obviously a highlight of her life. And what happens to it? It's locked behind a paywall. So unless people are paying extra for it for about 10 minutes worth of content, you don't get to see one of the highlights of Hannah Telle's acting career, which encompasses her love for animals, her love for her cats. It's all locked behind a paywall.
Isn't that nice? I love capitalism. Yeah.
Great, isn't
love
it? It's like apex capitalism in the gaming industry. Where can we go next, Adam? Is it going to be 2 months early releases, 3 months? God only knows. Adam, should we go into comment of the day then? We'll wrap up there. Okay, Adam. So comment of the day. We had a lot of comments. Again, thank you so much for that. The review is unbelievable. I tried to respond to as many as humanly possible. There were so many of them. So thank you so much to them. There were quite a few of them. I pulled out one here, which was from, I'm going to quickly get this right. It's Nayana Llewellyn-Fayyad. And they said in their comment, thank you for making this podcast. Personally, sometimes I feel a bit sad by the fact that sometimes, quote unquote, I care too much about video game, end quote. But when the community comes together to share their loves and worries about Life is Strange, I feel less weird. Somehow this game is more important to us than other games, and that's just how it is. And it's frustrating that Double Exposure disappointed us so much. I wish I could care less, but for some reason, I don't know why, I do care a lot. And what they've made this franchise is really sad. As such, as much as I appreciate everybody who's being vocal about their disappointment, I myself, I don't think this will lead us to a better scenario. They'll have their money anyway, and their team of writers are very different from the original creators. They have clearly different intentions for the franchise and couldn't even avoid making plot holes. I have no hopes for Life is Strange unless they change at least their game director and narrative director. Well, that was about a lot of comments in there and a lot of things. I agree with that as well. You probably reflected on a lot of what we thought. Even after when this game came out, I was like, I don't know if I want to do the podcast anymore. I don't know where we're going to go with it. Not that, like, I don't enjoy doing it. It's like, do we really want to keep talking about this game and the franchise and where they're going? And it's like, honestly, it's like, man, but the comment is spot on a lot of things as well. It's like, I don't even think it's like where the direction the franchise is going as well. I think it's more down, again, it might come across cruel, but it's on Felice Kuan and Jonathan Stauder, because ultimately they're in the creative positions. Unless, if that is the chosen direction, then what can you really do at that point? Because it's going to be the same narrative mess then at the next game. How are they going to fix this if they box themselves into a corner? Like, I don't get what's up. It is hard because I think the community is like divided, and it's going to lead to that thing where I think the only thing for me, if anything, is that you can kind of just apply criticism to it and like kind of talk about what they're doing in the direction they can go, and you can only wish that there's a pivot in production because it could possibly happen. There's no doubt about that. There could always happen with a pivot in production, but ultimately, what you've been given is what you've been given, and I think personally, I think we're in a corner. I think parts of Deck 9 are in a corner. And I think it's just Square Enix now dictating the control of the franchise. That's what I personally think now. I mean, that's what's now become very, very apparent for a lot of people since the comic days, since Life is Strange, Double Exposure. It's just, it is a big disappointment, the franchise, because basically the big hurrah was bringing Max back after 9 years, and you botched it. And there's no kind of like second, there's no coming back from this, because whether you can try and salvage the story in the next game, ultimately people's disdain for the franchise has been built in, I think, personally. And they've got like a lot of like things to be raised about it.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, like you said, like there's a lot of work to be put behind this. I don't think Square Enix gonna pull those moves off. So that needs to do this. Even if they sold the franchise, here's what I keep thinking about. Even if they sold the IP, and do you think Don't Nod would be interested in buying it back at this point? You know what I mean? Does Michel, I don't know if he does or not. Does Michel or Luke, do they still want to like do this franchise anymore? Because they're really set on Lost Records, Does Focus Entertainment take it? Like, it's just in such a limbo place that like Square is not handling it correctly. And if they sold it off, who is going to handle it correctly?
I think that they'd want the franchise because it's obviously their baby. It's like their name and stuff with it. I think the smarter thing would be, for example, if they kept Montreal just doing Lost Records games, but then you could move Life is Strange back to the French studio. So in Paris, move it back there, put a production team on it. So like a Jusson team or a Banishers team on it, whichever variation. And then obviously Michel oversees the project with Luke or someone else. I think it works with that to bring it back, because that's the benefit with Life is Strange. It has established IP, branding power, etc. Lost Records has none of that at the moment. So it's like, there's like that thing where it's like, if you could take it, definitely take it. But it's like, it's ultimately down to Square Enix wanting to sell it, which I know that they have no intention of selling it right now. It's about, if you want to, how far does this series really go? How much are they really going to antagonize their fans? How much are people going to keep buying the games? This game is a big expectation point for them now, because obviously they brought back the iconic series protagonist. Will it deliver? Which I personally don't think it's going to deliver. I think the margins will look good, because obviously, for example, if 2 people buy the Ultimate Edition, that's the equivalent of 3 people buying a standard copy. So you're selling like with a higher margin on there. But ultimately, you've really disgruntled people. You didn't read the room. You didn't read what they wanted. You made your own creative and executive choices. And that's why it's stinging so much. That's why the reception there. I said it before. StrangeCast as well has given that game 2 out of 5 on a 10-point scale. It's given it 2 out of 10, 2 out of 5. And there's more likes than dislikes on that video. It's 99% likes over dislikes, and about 180 comments. About 170, I would say, are saying, I agree with this review, or I agree with the opinion, I feel this way. And also as well, shout out to Nicefield as well. Nicefield gave this game 4 out of 10 in a review. This is Nicefield. Nicefield is more interconnected into the universe. And even Nicefield said as well, it's not just the Chloe situation in itself is abhorrent, but it's like, that's just not the systemic issue with the game. It's the entire freaking game. So it's like, when you read reviews like that and you read it from other people, it makes sense. And when you see comments like this and they come on the podcast, I was like reading it, I was like, yeah, this has to go into comment of the day, because it's like, this is reflective of how everyone feels. Some people will enjoy Double Exposure. I think some people accept it for what it is, but ultimately, it feels hollow. It was essentially what people were saying for months. It's a cash grab. It felt like there was potential, but the more you saw it, it was like the marketing's a red flag, the way the developers are speaking about a red flag, the way things are being positioned, it's a red flag, and then the red flags all merged at the same time. And it was like, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's a situation we're in right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, but yeah, thank you so much for the comment, though, and as always, as well, if you do want your comment on the next podcast, leave us on YouTube. We'll pick out the best one, and we always try and rotate them. So, do leave us your thoughts, and we'll try and get them into the next episode. Adam, at the ending, spread the arts, not spread the spooky arts, spread the arts now.
Yeah, spread the arts. You want to go first?
I'm easy. You can go first if you want.
Oh, okay. I mean, I did just release my last single of the year, so that's cool. Yeah, it's called This Is Virtual. It's got a picture of my nerdy face, so that's nice. Yeah, I selected it as my cover art. Like, let's go, dude. Honestly, man,
iconic, by the way, I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, dude. Dude, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Like the new Make Them Suffer album. I know a lot of our audience is probably not into Australian deathcore, but I'm saying it, dude. This album rips. I love it. It's not as good as the 2020 release, How to Survive a Funeral. Like that one was pretty deep, but this one is just a good baseline deathcore album. There's some good like grungy moments. There's some good melody moments. I don't know. I think it's all around just a solid album. Not perfect, not bad. It's just solid. So if you want a good one, hey, Make Them Suffer. It's self-titled. Just Make Them Suffer, the album. And it just came out. So I'm gonna go for that.
I like that pick. I've only been playing this very briefly in between me transitioning to whatever my next game is going to be. But I went and revisited Death Stranding.
Oh yeah, nice.
I think that's one of the greatest games that's ever been made in the last decade. It's one of the most polarizing games. I think he's just so unique. That's why I've always said, like, I made the admission on one of the podcasts where I was like, I don't buy games anymore. I don't play like a lot of new games. I'm not really a gamer anymore. It's like the industry has just stagnated and rotted, and unless you have people like him making the defining games that change genres, like what's special about that game is it creates its own genre, and it's the pinnacle as well. So it's like if any game tried to make in that kind of genre, it would have to match the master at the top of it, and it's just such a special game. It's an unusual game. That's what it is, because people are like, it's a walking simulator. It's like, no, it's something about it. When you play it, there's just something about that game where I keep thinking about it. I think about it in the same way I think about Resident Evil 7, for example, or Final Fantasy 15. I think like there's just something that always brings me back to these games, thinking there's something about you which you captured something in the moment, in the ethos, and it's stuck with me. And with Death Stranding, it's amazing, especially when I played it in the pandemic, which was amazing. But then in itself, just playing it and you walk through this mountain, and it's just like quiet. And like even the idea, for example, that rain is your enemy. And it's like, that is such a, I think Kojima drew inspiration from that for like a 70s movie. I can't remember which one it was. It's like rain affects people. It's like for rain to like speed up time. It's just such an interesting concept. I'm like, these are the games that make it. And I remember when I finished Death Stranding the first time on PS5 when I got the upgrade, it's like I built this like incredible like zipline empire. And I was like literally shooting across the map in such a way which is like crazy. But it's like to put that effort into something and the detail, it's the sign and the hallmark of an incredible designer. So mine is to go and play Death Stranding. If you haven't played it, great, go and play it. It's incredible. If you have played it and you didn't like it, you should go and play it again, because I think objectively, Kojima's games always change people's opinions. I remember MGS2, people were like, well, this is not. I always thought it was a great game anyway. But it's like now people think it's like, oh, it's incredible, and he did this. It's like you were all like dogging on it when it came out. It's like, get over yourself. It's like it was a great game as always, and it's like redefined people's ways of thinking. It predicted a lot of things very scarily. I don't think he did it intentionally either. I think he was just seeing things where he's like, this will probably just happen inevitably because of like me saying this, and it's like it's just looking forward a little bit. It's not like a full-on bold prediction. It's just hypothesizing certain things that were on the advent of things happening there. So yeah, excited for obviously Death Stranding 2. So my recommendation is Death Stranding by Mr. Hideo Kojima. Great. Who also as well, before we wrap up as well, posted a picture of him on Twitter, and he was with the Twin Peaks photo. It was the cop. I was like,
nice.
Hideo Kojima, Twin Peaks. Let's see, make a Life is Strange game. That would be something.
Yeah.
Imagine
and
that.
Kind of Funny Games introduced him to a new musical artist too.
Who?
I can't remember who it is, but Hideo Kojima, they went to go visit him, and they had like an indie artist they wanted to introduce him to. And so they gave him an album, and apparently he listened to the album that Kind of Funny gave him and became obsessed, and then met the artist in Paris.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah.
Oh, was that
the
woman?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that was that. Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they gave him a CD, and he just became obsessed with her, and then bought 2 more albums of her, and now she's his muse right now.
He's got good taste in music. He's got fantastic taste in music. Low, yeah. I haven't stopped listening to Low Raw since I played Death Stranding, and that's like, and obviously it's such a shame what happened to Low Raw with her. I think it was that singer who passed away. But it's like, I got obsessed with Low Raw after I listened to it. I was like, he has got a great taste in music. So yeah, definitely go and check out Death Stranding. Obviously very excited for the next game. And then obviously love that little Twin Peaks reference. Can only imagine what a Hideo Kojima Life is Strange game would be. It'd be the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll wrap up here. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if you enjoyed the episode. Let us know your thoughts. Obviously, if you've got any topics as well, like even mini topics as well about Safi and Max and relationships, let us know, because we can infuse that into comment of the day. We can make it essentially a mini topic for you guys to talk about, because there's a lot of points about double exposure. I imagine we're going to come back and revisit over due course when we're not talking about interviews. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are new here, one more time, please do drop a subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share your friends, help support the channel, helps keep up to date with all the channel content. Life is Strange, Lost Records, the podcast, Lost Records Journal. It's all available on this podcast. And also as well, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services, Spotify with the video version, Apple Podcasts, we're available on everything. So do please go and rate us as well. It really helps us. Do drop a subscribe, because you get all your content as soon as it becomes available. We've got 262 followers on Spotify, so it's great for you to get instant access to your episodes. Yeah. So obviously stay tuned. I don't know if the Olivia Atlabasi interview is going to come before this. If not, it's going to come after it. And also as well, the Lost Records Journal will be back the week after. Just for depending on what we see with Lost Records, I'm just going to FYI this, it might just be another StrangeCast the week after. We just need to kind of play it by its ear, because obviously the Game Awards is around the corner. I don't know how schedules are going to work, but for the moment, it's the Lost Records Journal that'll come up the week after. But yeah, take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoy the podcast. And until next time, guys, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.